Hey friends, this is day 21 of Russian war against Ukraine. I'm recording this 12:30 a.m. In the mornings, pretty late. I've been traveling. I'm sort of playing Waldo and Where's Waldo for the last 6 months, but that's great. That I love this life, and today I'm in Southern California. All right, so a few things happened today which were very important. Number one is the counterattacks. So remember, yesterday Arestovich was teasing that, well, we're having some great success on the counterattacks. It turns out that today our general, his name is Zelenskiy, he announced that we have started to push back on some of the elements of the blockade, both in Kyiv and Kharkiv, which is very important because, as we know, in the last 4 days, Russia has taken an operational pause as they regroup, as they're trying to change tactics, as they're trying to reinforce their troops either from Belarus or Mideast or China. But it's important for us not to give them that time. It's important for us to counterattack and to start to push them out. So this is a good tactical decision. And I'm hoping that pushing them back will not give them time and they will become a lot more lenient in negotiations. In fact, our spokesman for the defense, the advisor to the president, Alexei Arestovich, is saying that his prediction, and he's been right on most of these things to date, he's saying that the active combat will cease in about 2 to 3 weeks, and then it will switch to positional warfare. And positional warfare means that whatever each side will entrench in whatever positions they are at, and will start to try to take the other side out of that position, which is very good for Ukraine and very bad for Russia. We know our territory, we know where everything is, and when trees will start to become to bloom and become green, and bushes and everything, the guerrilla warfare will just start to disseminate Russian army. Again, very good for us. So he's saying that in 2 to 3 weeks, as the active phase wanes, this will mean that we will be able to reach peace through negotiations, provided that Russia will act rationally, which is not a given at this point. Number two, President Zelenskyy spoke in front of Congress of the United States today. Great speech, impassioned, great points. He showed a video about what's happening in Ukraine, and you'd have to be a stone not to be touched by what you see in the video. It's important for us to understand that this war is not only about statistics, tactics, strategy, who's winning, geopolitics, diplomacy. It's also about very real people whose lives are being ruined, who are displaced, children who are suffering and dying. And that video really brings it out, and it's heartbreaking to watch, but you cannot allow yourself to look away, because this is what's happening on the ground, and it emphasizes why the war needs to end, even though it looks like Ukrainians winning, even though it looks like this is actually going to be good for our future in Europe and as a world, on the world stage. For the sake of the people who are suffering right now, who are dying right now, we have to do everything we need to stop it. It's a great speech, standing ovation, even before he started and after his speech, and well deserved, I have to say. So 2 hours after the speech, President Biden had announced a new package of military help, general value of like $800 million. It had a lot of anti-missile systems, like shoulder-mounted, tons of ammo and rifles, and also drones called Switchblade. And Switchblade, I didn't know anything about it. I'm not an expert, but I read on it. I saw a video how it works. So it's being launched and can be in the air for a very, very long time, and then when it spots the target through remote control, it becomes a missile, and then goes right in and explodes itself. They call it kamikaze drones, I think. So that's great, because that will help us dominate in the sky. Remember, in the beginning of this this series. On day 3, I think I said that Ukraine is weak in 2 points. One is domination in the sky, and number 2 is domination in the sea. So a couple of funny things, not funny, but interesting things happened. So Russia had designated, I think, about 250 airplanes for the occupation of Ukraine, and we had shot down 85. So this would be just under a third, or a little over a third. So now I think we've broken Russian domination by airplanes, by jet fighters, but not by missiles. They have switched to missiles, and they have tons of them, and they have not used, I don't think they've used even 20% of what they have. So they can potentially just keep shooting at us until there's nothing left of cities like Mariupol or Kharkiv or Kyiv. So having those anti-air missiles, having those drones is very important because it will help us take out the systems that launch them, take out the missiles themselves. So this is a big help. Thank you, President Biden. It will help us break Russian domination in the sky, as we have already done with their jet fighters. The rumor is that Russian pilots are refusing to go up because they know that most of those planes are being shot down. In fact, judging by the people, but by the kind of pilots Ukraine is capturing, it's not like regular pilots anymore. It's like colonels, it's the commanders of fleets and stuff like that. So we're seeing that they're running out of good pilots, so they have to put up their elites to fly these things, and even then they're being shot down. So thank you, America. Thank you, President Biden. Great help. Today we also learned that Great Britain is giving us a number of their systems called Starstreak, and Starstreak are also shoulder-mounted anti-air missiles, but they work in a way. They have 2 stages to them. Stage number 1 is the missile launches, and then I think 20 meters from launch, it shoots out 3 smaller missiles, which coordinate with each other to triangulate on the target. They work up to 7 kilometers in distance. It will be like 4.5 miles, and the accuracy of these things is very high, and this success rate is very high. So great. Thank you, Great Britain, as well. This is big help, and it's very encouraging because it will help us dominate Ukrainian skies. This might be funny, but a member of parliament, Oleg Matveychev, went on the biggest propaganda show in Russia with the anchor Vladimir Solovyov. And something you have to understand about Solovyov. Solovyov is mouthpiece for Kremlin propaganda. Whatever message Kremlin wants to get out into the world, they put it on his program. And so every guest that goes there gets vetted and what they say. So everything that goes onto that program, you know this is coming from Kremlin. You know this is something that they would like you to know. So this guy goes out and on the show, and he's talking about how Russia deserves reparations and payback for all the historical lands that they used to have. And at some point he says, well, this means that Alaska is also Russian, and Fort Ross, I think, in California, because it was an outpost for Russian Empire at some point. And he's saying, yeah, Alaska was ours, which is funny because I think on day 3, when I was talking about, different misconceptions people would have in the West about Ukraine, and one of them was, if Eastern Ukraine wants to be with Russia, why do we care? They can just go to Russia. And I said, well, imagine if Alaskans wanted to go back to Alaska, so to Russia. So this is something that they are putting out there is, well, Alaska's really ours, right? And the situation with Alaska and Crimea are really, really similar, because both of them used to be Russian, and through different processes became part of Alaska, part of the US, and Crimea, part of Ukraine. And now what this means is that Russia is putting out these test messages. They're trying to see how the West will react to these soft messages, and then try to push on them, which has been Russia's strategy since forever. I think one of the American commentators said it's something like they push where there is mush, something like that. So they're trying to find soft spots in Western diplomacy and in Western relationships and see what they can get away with. And I think the Alaskan governor responded very appropriately. He's like, not on my watch, so, stop talking stupid. Which I thought was a good response, but as you can see, this is what Russia does. They're pushing, they're trying to see what they can get away with, and which is why the idea that if we step down from the Ukrainian question right now, nuclear war is averted. No. This is if the West steps back from the situation, Putin will understand that the nuclear threat works, and then you're just gonna get more and more of it, and harder and harder. So this is something important to understand. China's ambassador to Ukraine today sent a note to our diplomacy, and he said that today marks the 30 years of establishing of diplomatic relationships between Ukraine and China. We're happy to be our partners. We're committed to our mutually beneficial economic development. He congratulated He congratulated Ukraine on successful resistance from Russia and said that China will never attack Ukraine, which is really funny because the previous 2 days we were in suspense. What is China going to do? Russia had asked it for economic help, for food for the troops. It had asked it to get involved in the war on behalf of Russia, and now this is a huge fuck you from China to Russia because of this note. The rumor is that Putin's furious, his elites are furious at this answer, but we're seeing that China is firmly not getting involved in this war. Great relief to Ukraine. Thank you, China, and good luck with your COVID wave and your lockdowns. Also, we have to be we don't have to be naive about China. China does whatever is more beneficial to China. Had Russia been winning, they probably would have sided with Russia, but because they're seeing that the world rallied behind Ukraine and Ukraine is successfully resisting, they're going with the winner. So in this case, this plays well into our hands. So thank you, China. We love you. And then so that's a big relief. If China was going to get involved, this would be a serious situation. We would be talking about World War III, because China is not a small power, insignificant power. And then finally, on more tragic news, as you know, Russia has been trying to level Mariupol to the ground, and today they had bombed with a pretty large bomb. It was bigger than the half-a-ton aviation bomb. I think it was at least twice as large as that. They had bombed a drama theater, and the drama theater had a few hundred people hiding in the basement from an air raid siren. And if you look at the aerial images from a recon drone, both parking lots on either side of the drama theater, they had written in large letters, children. Children on one side, children on the other side, with like white paint. You could not miss it. And I think that's what gave Russia its impetus to launch a bomb there, which is highly inhumane. This is crazy. You shoot at where you know the civilians are hiding, where you know children are. This is an act of terrorism. And of course, as we've talked many times, this is done so that the Ukrainian public will pressure the government to go and accept Russia's ultimatum for peace. And that's why, friends, Russia has to be stopped, is because they do this kind of stuff. The Russians are not Westerners, or not Europeans. They don't think like us. To Western world, the value of a human life is very high. To Russians, it's not high. To Russians, humans are disposable. And of course, not to Russian people, but to put the Politburo, to the Russian elites, to the Russian government. people are worth nothing. That's why they're ready to sacrifice Ukrainian people. That's why they're ready to sacrifice their own people, their own kids who they have conscripted and thrown to front lines of Ukraine to be captured or killed. So we're not fighting a force that has the same value as us. We're not fighting a force that is acting or thinking like us. This is a force that will do anything to win, will not stop in front of anything to win. That's why we have to find a way to stop it. Really, I think in this war, United States, Great Britain, Turkey, in some ways Germany had been our biggest allies and our biggest friends. And we couldn't have done and what we're doing without our allies. So thank you. I know a lot of you guys are sending notes to your representatives, MPs, senators, whatever. This is good because they're hearing it, that they're making decisions to help us, and this is a big help. Europe and the entire Western world is standing united, and we're happy that we are part of it in some ways and are going to be part of the EU, looks like very, very soon. So that is very encouraging. And I think the future for Ukraine is bright. Right now it looks grim. Right now it looks tragic. It looks, you just want to look away. But looking at how these things turn out in history, we're sort of, in some ways, we're paying the price of not doing anything earlier, but in some ways we're cleansing and we're reevaluating what we stand on, what's important to us. And this will serve us well in the future. I think it's Reagan said that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. And at some point we've lost vigilance, so we're now paying the price, but we're not gonna make that mistake again anytime soon. So friends, I thank you very much for your support, for your messages. I love your responses. I'm glad these videos are helpful. Continue to share them. In fact, I'm making a playlist on YouTube. I'm going to share a link to the video so you can share it with your friends, because this thing with Facebook is a little too complicated. You have to follow me or friend me to see these videos. It's too complicated. So I'm going to give you a link which you can share out, and hopefully these will be helpful in informing you what's going on. And I'll keep making these as long as the situation continues, and hopefully I will not have to make them much longer, and Ukraine will be peaceful. And if you decide to come to Ukraine, make sure hit me up. I'm gonna give you a personal tour of Kyiv. Bye.